Thank you guys for joining us. We're going to take the national anthem. Ìṣọ̀kan àti òmìnira ni ẹ jẹ́ ká máa lépa tẹ̀síwájú ọ̀pọ̀ ire àtòhun tó dára. Ọmọ ògbà dìde lọ sípò ẹ̀tọ́ rẹ. Ìwọ ni ìmọ́lẹ̀ ògo adúláwọ̀. Thank you guys for joining us for day 2 of our campaign. 2023 election. Tinubu or Oduduwa Republic. Yeah. I will want to be sure that everything is working perfectly well. Okay. Yesterday was day 1 of our campaign. And then while we raised the issue around the involvement of the MI6, which I'll give detail in day 6 of our campaign, about how they plan to assassinate Tinubu. There was a circular that was released, I think this morning, from the Ministry of Interior. That is the ministry that Aregbesola is in charge. It was a circular warning the Federal Airport Authority and the Security Agency of an impending attack of the airports across the Federation of Nigeria. That is the real name of our country, Federation of Nigeria, nothing nonsense that the Igbo and Fulani changed it to the Federal Republic of Nigeria. It's arrant nonsense. So there's this circular that is now being circulated that IPOP members are planning to blow up airports across the country. Folks, let me tell you, this is bullshit. IPOP members are not planning to blow up the airport across Nigeria. They don't have the strength of character to go to Aminu Kano International Airport and blow it up. No, they cannot go to Sadiq Abubakar II International Airport in Sokoto and blow it up. They don't have that strength. They cannot and will never go to the international airport in Maiduguri to blow it up. Even their closest neighbor, Margaret Heppel International Airport, I think in Port Harcourt, the Igbo, who are members of IPOP, they have no strength of character to do that. No, they will never try it. The target is Lagos. They want to blow up our airport. And it is MI6 that is behind this. MI6 is the Intelligence Security Services in England, which is to protect England from external aggression. MI5 is inside England to protect England from internal aggression. MI6 protects England from external aggression. And one of the aim and objectives of MI6 is to maintain the prosperity of England, meaning stealing other people's wealth. That's what they do. They are the people who plan the NSAS. And I said yesterday that what is going on in Igbo land with the bombing and blowing up of police stations and the rest is a prelude to their onward journey to Lagos, Yoruba land. That's what they are planning to do. We're not asking you to come and help us to carry out our public course of action. We're not asking foreigners to help us who are within Nigeria. We want to do that on our own as Yoruba citizens. So the circular says that the IPOB members who want to blow up the airport across Nigeria, they are coming to Lagos. And it is one, to distract us from getting the Oduduwa Republic, to distract us from getting the presidency of Nigeria, to distract the young Yoruba. That's why the MI6 is helping Igbo in this course of action. So it is Lagos that they are heading to. It's Lagos. We had information this morning as well that Igbo, who are IPOB members and MASOP members, they have stockpile of bombs in Lagos, which they are moving to Imo to go and carry out their public course of action. I assure you, in Yoruba land, you will meet your Waterloo. England colonized you, Igbo. If you want to claim any right, come to England and become nuisance to them in their country. They are the people who came to colonize you, not we, the Yoruba. So we will not fall for this nonsense that the MI6 is trying to achieve. If you guys can take your time to come to court, which is next month, which is going to be the beginning of my trial, we plan to show to the jury and the judge the 15 nations that made up Nigeria, in which case we will expose to the jury during my trial the reason MI6, which is equivalent to the government of Westminster, the reason why they are now working with a proscribed terrorist organization called IPOB. It has been proscribed by the federal government. IPOB started in 2015. We've been running YYF since we were undergraduates. No nation, no government has ever proscribed us or designated us as a terrorist organization. Not at all. But everyone knows that IPOB is indulging in an attempt to appropriate other people's land. Why is MI6 working tooth and nail to help the Igbo? We will show this during my hearing. You know, remember last year, October, I was arrested because we gave Igbo ultimatum. It was MI6 who engineered that arrest. MI6 who work with the military attaché of the English at Abuja. We knew all of these things. We know the fact. Now, why are they working with the Igbo? We're going to show the map in court of the ethnic nation of Nigeria. And we will say to the jury that the only reason MI6 is working with Igbo terrorists, IPOB, is because the English government is beginning to feel that if care is not taken, Nigeria might unravel. Nigeria might cease to be a nation, even before 2023. And if that happens, they will be the greatest loser because they've always used Fulani, who are not indigenous to Nigeria, as their proxy to steal our wealth, which is essentially crude oil and the waterways. Now, the English reckons that if peradventure Nigeria should unravel and break up, then they would like to support Biafra, that includes Edo land, Urobo land, Ijo land, Efik Ibibio land. These nations that I've mentioned, they have waterways and they have crude oil. But the Igbo nation is a landlocked nation with no crude oil, with no waterways. So the English reckon that they could use Igbo the same manner they've used the Fulani successfully. You know, Fulani are not indigenous to Nigeria. Hausa Fulani are in the northern region, which is desert. They do not have crude oil. They don't have the waterways. So they control them by ensuring that they always produce the presidency of Nigeria so that the English can steal our wealth in Yoruba land, our crude oil and our waterways, through their proxy, Fulani. That is the same thing they now want to do to Edo people, Urhobo people, Ijaw people, and Efik Ibibio people. They reckon that if they could support the Igbo to get Biafra, the Igbo that has nothing, no crude oil, no waterway, not even human capital, the English could help them to always rule in Biafra nation if that nation comes to pass. So the English and the Igbo will steal the wealth of the Edo people, Urhobo people, Ijaw people, and Efik Ibibio people to build England, not necessarily to build Igbo land, but to use the Igbo as their proxy. They want to be planning a new form of colonialism if peradventure Biafra exists. But the truth is this, Biafra will never come to pass because the Edo people, the Urhobo people, the Ijaw people, the Efik Ibibio people are determined and resolute that they will never be part of Igbo. They have always insisted that they were the first in Nigeria to declare a republic breaking away from the country. Isaac Adakaboro, an Ijoga who studied in UI, studied chemistry, he declared the Niger Delta Republic. Who killed him? Aguiyi Rosin and Ojukwu, they arrested him, put him in prison because he declared Biafra Republic. That Biafra Republic, Niger Delta Republic rather, the Niger Delta Republic, Isaac Adakaboro declared, never included Igbo land. That was why Ojukwu and Aguiyi Rosin arrested him and put him in prison. So what the MI6 is doing in Nigeria currently is to use the terrorist organization IPOB to try to distract you, Yoruba, by causing trouble in Lagos in particular. So the circular released earlier today by the Ministry of Interior of Nigeria saying that IPOB are coming to blow up airport across Nigeria is all bullshit. Their target is Lagos. Believe you me, Igbo, you will meet your Waterloo in Lagos. We are not asking you to help us to bring about the destruction of Lagos. We've been very clear. Lagos is our battleground. There are 4 infrastructures that we have identified. Without a return to regional government and the control of the presidency of Nigeria by only Yoruba people, Lagos will be shut down. That is it. It is our land. It does not belong to the English. It does not belong to the Igbo. It does not belong to the Hausa or Fulani. Yoruba land belongs to us, Yoruba. If we want English there, they will be there. If we don't want them there, we will expel them. That is the same way they treated us in their country, with no respect, no decorum. They discriminate against us. That is what they are going to face in Lagos and Ibadan. We know where they are living. In their own country, we live in deprived communities. They will live in deprived community in our own space. So the circular released today is targeted at Yoruba land. Igbo people who are members of IPOB and MOSOP, they have been made provision. Provisions have been made for them in England that if they can assassinate Tinubu, they will be given asylum. That is it. If they can assassinate Tinubu, they will be provided asylum. That was why we raised it in April when the UK government made provision for asylum for specifically IPOB member and MOSOP member. These are organizations that have been designated as a terrorist organization by the federal government of Nigeria. In respect of Lagos, we as a movement, we have always been campaigning that we will shut down Lagos. And that remains our number 3 objective. We will give more details about that subsequently. It is our number 3 objective. Yoruba land belongs to us. It does not belong to any other person. We will treat foreigners in Yoruba land the way we are being treated abroad. Look at the way and manner our citizens are being treated in Arab worlds, particularly our women. So why don't we treat Arabs like that in Yoruba land who come into our space? Look at the way and manner the police in England have always been arresting Yoruba people, discriminating against us, harassing us because of our ethnicity and our race. Why don't we treat English the same way? Look at the way and manner, for instance, in England, they discriminate against us when it comes to immigration. They don't discriminate against Indians. They don't discriminate against Chinese, but they discriminated against the Yoruba people when it comes to immigration. Why should we continue to allow English to work in our top businesses? Today, we wanted to release an information that we obtained from a research institute in Lagos. They listed top 10 income, highest HENA, highest MD CEO In Lagos, Yoruba land, top 10 managing director, only one was a Yoruba citizen. The rest are foreigners. Is that how we are earning? We are the top earner in England. About 5 English were top MD in Yoruba land when we wash toilet in their own country. Why should we allow English to be managing director of our top businesses? Why? These are some of the things that we will change, and we will change this for the good of our nation. We will practice diplomacy, which is reciprocity, meaning tit for tat. Any nations that continues to undermine the greatness of the Yoruba nation, we will undermine the greatness of that nation, and we will ensure that the business interests of such a country is undermined in Yoruba. That is why our number one target is businesses that belongs to people from England, because the government in England is working with the minority Fulani to assassinate Tinubu the same way John Major government assassinated MKO Abiola. We will not take this nonsense from this country anymore. So don't be fooled that Igbo want to blow up the airport. They can never blow up anywhere in Hausa Fulani land or Kanuri land, not even in Ijaw space. They don't have the strength of character. They are coming to Lagos, and I keep maintaining, and I hope that the stupid police in England are watching me. Lagos is your burial ground, Igbo people. The king of Lagos said that if you foment trouble in our homeland again, you undermine our political interests, Lagos is your cemetery. That is where you're going to get. You cannot come to our space and detonate bomb. The nonsense the Ijaw nation did some times ago when they came to Lagos and blew up Atlas cover, they will never repeat such anymore. If they do, they will have equal and opposite reaction from the Yoruba nation. This brings me to something that is very important, which is lacking in the Yoruba governance. Many of you might have forgotten about this completely. You remember when Buhari wanted to contest to be president of Nigeria in 2015 presidential election? There are certain things that the Hausa Fulani did. And I'll remind you. In 2014, 12 governors from the core north, which is Hausa Fulani region and Kanuri region, they traveled to America. It is not for fun. They went to America to plead with President Obama to help them. The US State Department organized that trip for them. So the 12 governors met with Ambassador Susan Rice. You recollect that woman? She came to Nigeria in 1998 with Prekrine. They were US envoys sent by Bill Clinton to plead with Abiola to forget about his mandate. Abiola refused, and that was how he was poisoned. There have been reports about the involvement of Ambassador Susan Rice in the assassination of MKO Abiola. As a matter of fact, the Democratic government of Bill Clinton assassinated Abiola. So that woman, the Fulani and Hausa Fulani and Kanuri governors, they met with her in 2014. And then, as at that time, she was the national security advisor to President Obama. So 12 governors from the north and one deputy governor met with her to discuss what? Hold on. Areas of strategic importance to both the US and this Hausa Fulani. Look, let me tell you one thing that you, Yoruba youth, you don't understand. Jesus Christ is never going to help you. Look, you can pray rather for the salvation of your soul through Jesus Christ if you are a Christian, or through Muhammad if you are a Muslim. You can pray for the salvation of your soul. Other than that, you don't expect these people to do anything for you. They are no longer on this planet Earth. They are long gone. Praying to them to help the subjugation of the Yoruba nation will never work. You need to reach out to superpower, people who can actually protect you. We told you about how Scotland in the 17th centuries wanted to fight against the English subjugation and domination, they wrote letter to the Pope. Then Pope used to be the most powerful man on planet Earth, and Pope helped them. It is the same thing we need to do. All of this noise by the Yoruba liberals about Oduduwa Republic will never cut it. We need to lobby the United States of America. In 2014, Hausa Fulani were desperate to capture the presidency of Nigeria. They went to Obama to plead with him, to negotiate with him, to help them. Obama actually removed Jonathan from power. What do you think they negotiate with Obama with? It is the Yoruba crude oil and our waterway. This is the major sources of revenue for any nation. Fulani, Hausa region, they don't have crude oil. It's a desert. They don't have waterways. It's a desert. But they are lobbying and negotiating with our own wealth. We, the owner of the wealth, we continue to hate on white people. How can you hate every white? For instance, we were enslaved, suppressed, subjugated, depressed by only England. Nothing to do with any other nation. When you look at the Yoruba in Benin Republic and Togo, then you had the subjugation of Yoruba land, you had France and Germany. These were the three nations that enslaved the Yoruba land. But why should we be fighting against America? Because they are white, like English? Why should we be fighting against Russia? Why should we be fighting against Poland? Why should we be discriminating against Bulgaria? Why should we hate them? Because they have white skin? You will never be great. You will always be suppressed and subjugated. If you want to go far, just focus on your enemy. Don't say because English have white skin, you have to have hatred for every white skin. Because you have black skin, you have to love every black nation. You are very stupid. You don't understand the essence of self-preservation. Fulani always lobby America with the crude oil and waterways that belong to the Yoruba. Imagine if we go to America and give them the concession they desire, they have been asking for. They will help us because the waterways belong to us. The crude oil belong to us. So when the 12 Hausa Fulani and Canary governor met with Susan Rice took them to Obama. They promised Obama heaven and earth. They paid him personally with the money that belongs to Yoruba. Obama came to their head and removed Jonathan from power. This is what we're asking the stupid Yoruba liberals. You are donating money for Sunday Igboho, a stark illiterate. He's telling you that he wants to fight and protect you with bosses. And all of you who are well-read, supposedly well-read, and you are contributing money for him, why not give the money to organizations that will lobby America? Many of you are in America. Why don't you form an association essentially and solely lobbying the US government? You go to your senators in your state, you go to the capitals, you go and lobby some Yoruba that have been appointed by Joe Biden. You give them money, you give them gift, you lobby them by all means. But idiot of you, you are giving Professor Banji Akintoye your money. You are giving your money to Sunday Igboho. You are giving your money to Koiki. Koiki that has mental health problem. These are the people that you're giving, and you said you are intelligent, you're smart, stupid people that you are. Their governors met with Obama. He assured them he's going to remove Jonathan. He removed Jonathan. I told you since 2015, they only told Jonathan one thing, that if he doesn't leave, they'll kill him with radioactive material. He's a stupid man. He left. That is the power of the United States of America. So what happened after that? Buhari won the election. What happened thereafter? John Kerry, the Secretary of State, or what was his position, he left America, met with Sultan of Sokoto. What was he coming to do? He met with Sultan of Sokoto and the 12 northern governors from the Connaught. He came to get the money that they promised him that if Buhari wins. That was what he got. The money actually belonged to Yoruba people. But it is the Hausa Fulani who are controlling your wealth. But you want to vote for Labour in England because Labour will give you your fucking paper to stay in England. You want to vote for the Democratic Party in America because the Democratic Party will want you to stay in America. But Fulani are in charge of your crude oil. Fulani are in charge of your waterways. You go onto the street in London, you will be carrying placard saying Black Lives Matter. Stupid people that you are. Why is the life of Yoruba not an interesting subject for you as a Yoruba citizen that you are? Stupid people, you're giving money to Sunday Igboho, a stark illiterate, somebody who never graduated from secondary school. You want to help you to get to the Oduduwa Republic with buses. America is the #1 exporter of weapons in the world. What are you talking about? England is the #2 exporter of weapons in the world. If you cannot cut the friendship of America, it is Sunday Igboho that will give you, Sunday Igboho that they will shoot and kill the next moment. You distributing your money. John Kerry came to Sokoto, if you recollect. The stupid Christian Association of Nigeria were shouting in the pages of newspaper that John Kerry is promoting religious violence in Nigeria, ethnic discrimination, people who don't know how to lobby. They pray to Jesus Christ, who died many years ago, who will never help you. Jesus Christ will get Oduduwa Republic for you. You must be crazy. Or is it Allah that will get you Oduduwa Republic? Don't you see how Yoruba Muslims in Arab countries are being treated like slaves? You lobby. We've been saying this to the Yoruba nation. It is why I couldn't lobby, because the money is too much. We pass the responsibility to the APC. I'm going to come on the APC governor now. We pass the responsibility to them. They are playing big boy, people that can be destroyed in a moment of violence. So that was what happened in August 2016. John Kerry came to Nigeria, went straight to Sultan of Sokoto, met with the governors from Hausa Fulani land. They gave him his due. For a job well done, he has put their son in power. After that, he told the governor that they have to come to America and say thank you to Obama. What happened? October 2016, look at the record, because a lot of you, that is why we're different as a movement. We're a very, very intelligent set of people. We read a lot. We observe phenomena. But you just you just stupid people. You just sit around and make noise. I'm going to talk about this Yoruba dictator on day 2 or day 3 or 4. So you see, October 2016, the governors went back to Obama to say thank you to him, the governor of Hausa Fulani, for putting our son as the president. What were they lobbying Obama with? Yoruba crude oil, Yoruba waterway. Is there crude oil in Hausa land? No. Is there waterways in Hausa land? No. They are not. They don't even have human capital. But they lobby the world power to suppress the Yoruba nation. You are the owner of the crude oil. Allow America to control part of it. It's not a big deal. America controls 80% of the crude oil in the Arab world. Look at Saudi Arabia. It was a country created by the English. The royal family will not survive one day without the support of the United States of America. The people of Saudi Arabia don't like that royal family anymore. But what happened? The royal family allows America to control certain percentage of the crude oil. That is why their king is still retaining power up to today. If tomorrow he does something silly, stupid against the interests of America, he will be gone the next day. That is how powerful the good people of the United States of America is. Because they have used their human capital to build sophisticated society, build sophisticated weapons. Look at their schools, look at their hospitals, look at their housing, look at their road, look at their country. They are superior to the horse Yoruba in all ramifications. Stop pretending about the skin color. These guys are good. We need to lobby America. We need to say to them that the crude oil belongs to us. We will allow them to continue to control the state they are currently controlling. They should help to put our son in power. Simple. Tinubu should be president. We will allow them to continue to do what they are doing. In return for one thing, they guarantee us security. They help to beef up our security in Yoruba land, so that when we are no longer on the planet Earth, our children's future will have been secured 100%. You need allies. You don't need idiots. Can somebody be relying on Sunday Igboho? Even some of us, the Orisha practice. ṣé ẹ̀rí wa ta fowó ẹyọ sọ́rùn ni àbá gbówó ẹyọ sọ́wọ́ ẹ kàn bà religion wa jẹ́ àwọn wèrè wọn máa di owó ẹyọ mórí káàkiri wọn look agad bí wèrè àwọn babaláwo tó wà nílẹ̀ Yorùbá wọn máa dáfá wọn máa da ọ̀pẹ̀lẹ̀ níbi tó dọ̀tí ibi tó bá gorí ẹran sí lẹ́ni tó ń tẹ ẹ̀jẹ̀ ẹran sí tó ń ta ẹ̀jẹ̀ ajá sí ibẹ̀ máa rùn ní ó lọ́wọ́ àwọn babaláwo tó wà ní Brazil kó rí bí gbogbo shrine wọn ṣe máa neat ẹ̀yin ọ̀dẹ̀ ẹ sọ pé ẹ̀ ń ṣe òòṣà ẹ máa gbówó ẹyọ sọ́rùn bí wèrè ẹ máa jókòó sórí Facebook ẹ máa pariwo a máa gbódùdúwà yín ni a máa gbódùdúwà yín ni òpònú burúkú ẹ ń pe Sunday Igboho kó wá gbódùdúwà fún yín ẹ ń pààrẹ Ọ̀nà Kakanfò yẹn náà sọsọkúsọ ẹ tó máa yìnbọn fún àgbọn máa tì mọ́lé ẹ ní ọmọ tó ní lárí bíi Tinubu ẹ lè sọ pé kọ́mọ yín di president kẹ wá victimize ẹ tí tó máa fi fún yín l'Oduduwa Republic ẹ fẹ́ gbódùdúwà Republic ẹ pàdé pọ̀ pẹ̀lú Amẹ́ríkà England tó jẹ́ pé wèrè ni wọ́n lè sọ̀nà sí gbogbo ìlú yín tó máa gba ọgbẹ̀ lọ́wọ́ yín wọ́n suppress yín kò sí nǹkan tẹ́ máa ṣe wọn pa Abíọ́lá ni wọn ti Awólọ́wọ̀ mọ́lé kí lẹ ṣe kó ṣe torí ẹ̀ náà lẹ́tún ti bẹ̀rẹ̀ lórí Tinubu ẹ̀yin wèrè. So you see that in October you can look at the timeline. 2014 the governor went to America, met with Obama, pleaded with him to help them install their son. It was not free, with a promise of control of crude oil and waterways, which does not belong to them. It belongs to the Yoruba nation. Obama listened to them and ensured the removal of Jonathan. After that, John Kerry came in August 2016. After John Kerry came, the governor went to America again in October 2016 to say thank you to Obama. If I'm lying, there is a fact. In 2017, a top intelligence analyst who was part of Obama administration, his name was given as Matthew T. Page. You can Google it. He disclosed how the U.S. State Department invited the 12 Hausa, Fulani, and Kanuri governors to Washington to seek the support of Obama to achieve regime change in Nigeria during the 2015 presidential election. The guy disclosed it. It is not new. It is not, look, there's nothing bad about it. There's nothing. What you need to understand is this. Hausa Fulani region is a poor space. Igbo region is a poor space. These guys lack everything good. For a nation to be great, there must be 5 elements. Homogeneity, you speak one language. Yoruba, we have it. Massive population, where 60 million people, we have it. Human capital, we have got brain. You must have seaports, which is waterways, and natural resources. We have all the 5 elements to be great. Why are we not great? Because our parent generation, very stupid generation, hating on everybody with white skin. How can you hate somebody from Poland, somebody from Bulgaria, somebody from Lithuania because he's got white skin? These people never colonized an inch of Africa. People who colonized Africa were very limited people. I think 7 different countries in Western Europe, particularly England, France, and Germany. So if you must hate white people, hate all these 3. But even as Yoruba as we have no justification at all to hate the French, to hate the Germans. They haven't done anything evil towards us, except the English. And if we discard the English, we relate with others, our life will be far better off. This is what we're telling you. Matthew T. Page exposed this in 2017, said that the U.S. State Department invited the governors to come and seek the help of Obama. Why do you think this U.S. State Department did that? Because America controls 55% of the stake of your fucking crude oil. But why is it that Fulani are willing to give out 55% of the stake of the control of the crude oil? Because they are not the owner. The crude oil belongs to Yoruba. We have crude oil in Lagos. We have crude oil in Ogun. We have crude oil in Ondo. We have crude oil in Ishekiri. The crude oil belongs to us. So if we are reasonable, sensible people that we always pride ourselves to be knowledgeable, we allow America certain stake in our wealth and resources in return for protection, for security of our descendants. Beautiful. So the question is this. We as a movement, we will not blame the Yoruba APC government I know Sanwo-Olu very well from far observation. Look at the way the guy was shaking when the NSAS thing started. He wanted to even run away. Even Tinubu was shaking to his bone marrow. He has to go for medical treatment abroad here in London. He was shaking because it's been long that they've witnessed that onslaught. But these guys are far short-sighted. People like Sanwo-Olu should be reaching out to say a particular maybe governor of California. He should be friendly with him. He should be reaching out to the maybe governor of New York. He should be the guy pressing the button ahead for Tinubu. Yoruba APC governor should now be reaching out to America. You have your families there. You have your friends there. There's a lot of Yoruba that have been employed by Joe Biden. He reached out to that guy. If you don't reach out to that guy, Tinubu will not be president of Nigeria in 2023. That is the truth. You will not be president. Stop. You don't understand politics in a multicultural society. Why is it that the English establishment does not want to work with the Yoruba political leaders? Because the English establishment knows that the wealth of Nigeria belongs to Yoruba, and the percentage they are taking, no Yoruba will accept it. So they would rather work with Fulani or Igbo who have nothing, so that together they can suppress and subjugate the Yoruba and steal our wealth. It's a shame on the Yoruba APC governor. Ordinary useless Nnamdi Kanu that I took on in court. In October, when the police arrested me, they said to the judge that the judge should make an order for me not to use social media again. And I said to the judge asked me, why did I make the ultimatum video? And I explained that the stupid Nnamdi Kanu issue an audio asking a stupid, criminally minded Igbo to go and kill our leaders. And we have to intervene. And I said to the judge, we meant what we said. We want to confront them in our homeland. They can't take over our land. And the judge asked the police, who is Nnamdi Kanu? I told you, didn't I say to you? The police excused themselves for about 5 minutes, going to confirm who is Nnamdi Kanu. When they came back to the court, they told the judge that Nnamdi Kanu is in Singapore or Malaysia. I told you then that Nnamdi Kanu is not in England, because he's been lying to everybody that he's in England. He himself, remember, shortly thereafter, he said that he have, how did he use this word? That he has relieved all the HIPOP executives in London. They are no longer part of HIPOP. He said it. He said it from his Singapore or Malaysia hideout. You understand? Why is it that the English don't like to work with Yoruba? Because they know we would not take their bullshit. We won't allow them to control our wealth. But you cannot be fighting everybody without support, without an ally. You think it is when you go to Redeemed Church of God of Olorun Adeboye that will save you, or Olorun Winners Chapel, tó máa yìnbọn fáwọn méjì tó máa kú dànù. Mo ti sọ fún yín pé Adeboye ò lè rí Jésù tí Jésù tó máa fi kú. Adeboye ti wà ní 70, ká kọ́lọ́n lọ́ra ẹ̀mí ẹ̀, ká hard 30 years mọ́ láìpẹ́ kó pé 100 kò lè rí Jésù. Because Jésù ò ní padà àmọ́ sílé ayé, ó ti kú, ó ti ṣe iṣẹ́ títí ẹ̀, ó ti lọ. Kẹ́yìn máa fool everybody. Gbogbo solution ọ̀rọ̀ ayé wa ọ̀rọ̀ Jésù ni. Ẹ tí ẹ mọ bó ṣe ń lọ́bì, ẹ dẹ̀ sọ pé kàwé. Ẹ sọ pé kàwé. I hope you guys can come to court. You will see how we're going to present. I've been mentally preparing for this thing since 2019. You just come to court. May 10 is Sodor Crown Court. Come, just sit around. I'm not asking for your support. Conservatives are already supporting me. I don't like you, Yoruba Libras. So you can see how politics is played. Politics is not played on emotion. If you need the help of America, we must be ready to give certain concession. That is it. So I won't talk down at the Yoruba APC governor. I don't like you, Akeredolu, and Governor Sanwo-Olu. I think that you're very good, but I think that you don't really play the politics to protect the interests of the Yoruba. Because otherwise, American companies, our Israeli companies, contract. Afẹ́ award Fort Mainland Bridge, ó ń gbé fún China. Ṣé China fẹ́ bá wa kó bọn wọlé ni? Ṣé China fẹ́ bá wa kó bọn wọlé? Nǹkan tó yẹ kó fi fọgbọ́n kó fi travel lọ sí ìlú òyìnbó, kó tiẹ̀ fúnra ẹ ní break, kó lọ lobby fún Tinubu, kó lọ sí America, kó sọ pé ó fẹ́ lọ ṣe business trip, kó káwọn guys lọ. It's a lot of young boys tó ń ṣiṣẹ́ pẹ̀lú yín náà. Kó káwọn guys lọ kẹ́ lọ think about the next 20 years for Yoruba nation. Tí Tinubu bá drop dead lé nìkan, Yoruba nation á kàn collapse ni, gbogbo nǹkan tá a ní á collapse. You are not thinking about this prospect. Tí nǹkan kan bá lọ ṣe Tinubu nǹkan. You guys are in power now, but you should think about the collective good of your children. We said something to Tinubu. Look at Awolowo's grandchildren. They are doing Big Brother Nigeria. If it's not in Barra, not in Togo, but I want it. Wilson Churchill grandchildren, they are in the House of Commons. Look at Abiola's children. Abiola's Ololowo to Jule Africa. Shawan won't continue, won't maintain no way. Shawan won't maintain no way. No. Ìyà jẹ àwọn ọmọ yìí sìn náà. Kí ni mistake Awolowo, kí ni mistake Abiola? Because wọ́n gbé Yorùbá kúrò ní Nàìjíríà ni, or at the very least kan fún wa regional government, they couldn't get it. So tí Tinubu náà bá ṣe mistake yẹn, tí kò bá get wa ní regional government tó dẹ̀ máa ensure pé Yorùbá nìkan ló ń produce presidency of Nigeria, tàbí kó fún wa ní Oduduwa Republic, tí Tinubu bá kú, ọmọ ẹ̀ tó jẹ́ ìyá lọ́jà yẹn, wọ́n á yọ, ìyà jẹ. That is the truth. And you man learn from the mistake of others. So what I expect Tinubu ṣe nìyẹn, kó bá wa fọ́ Nàìjíríà rẹ́kẹrẹ́kẹ́, kó ní kálukú gba ilé bàbá ẹ̀ lọ. But wá sọ pé wọ́n lùlù fóun ní ilẹ̀ Haúsá, wọ́n praise òun everywhere. Òun máa torí yẹn gbàgbé nǹkan tó ń ṣẹlẹ̀. Ìyà jẹ àwọn ọmọ ẹ̀ tó bá kú, bàbá ńlá ìyà, àwọn ọmọ Abíọ́lá ńkọ́ wọn ń tọrọ jẹ lẹ́ni ni. Àwọn ọmọ Awólọ́wọ̀ kọ́ ló ń ṣe Big Brother òṣì. So folks, that is just by the way. But see, for day 2, we'll be talking about the 10th Constitution of Nigeria. Many of you don't know that we've had that numbers of constitution, 10. So that's why I have titled today's topic, All Power to the English Colonial Talks. Now we've been saying that, I keep telling you, my parent generation, they call the English who enslaved, kill our forefathers, our ancestors told our, they call them colonial master. No, we call them colonial talks because that is what they were when they came to our homeland. So we have had 10 constitutions. The Constitution of Nigeria is the supreme law of the country. Out of these 10 constitutions, the English colonial government enacted 5 of these constitutions into law. And I will tell you all of these 5 and what brought about them. And to those Yoruba liberals who were at a point in time shouting amalgamation, 1914 amalgamation, shouting this is our problem. Look, you're making a mistake. We have already told you that you're making a mistake, you've made an adjustment. To say that it is 1999 constitution, that is nonsense. So what are the 5 constitutions that the English colonial government enacted or promulgated into law? Number 1 is the Lord Lugard Constitution of 1914. And I'll tell you about that later. Number 2 is the Clifford Constitution of 1922. Number 3 is the Richard Constitution of 1946. Number 4 is Macpherson Constitution of 1951. And number 5 is Lilton Constitution of 1954. Why is it that our constitution, the first 5 constitutions of Nigeria, were named after human beings? These were English colonial thugs who came from United Kingdom and fucked up our country. As a matter of fact, Lugard was a Scottish man, you know. It's not English, but the rest of them are English. So these were the first 5 constitutions we had, which were enacted into law by the English colonial government, not the people of Nigeria. Now, I will take each of these 5 constitutions one after the other to explain why these constitutions were in the first place enacted into law. Number one, the Lord Lugard Constitution of 1914. It was written in 1913, but it became operational on the 1st of January 1914. That constitution was enacted into law by the English colonial government, in which 15 nations of Nigeria were merged together to create a country called Nigeria. When the English came, they wanted to merge the nations in Nigeria today. They wanted to merge them together as one. They could not do it with a fiat and just pronounce that. They sat down and wrote a constitution that would be the guiding principles for the 15 nations to be merged together. Let me give you the names of these 15 nations. They were merged together in 1914 to create a country called Nigeria. So you will now see that Nigeria is not a nation. A nation speaks one language, have one culture, one tradition, and the rest of that. A country is made up of many nations. Nigeria is not a nation. Nigeria is a country of 15 nations. The 15 nations are, I remember in my speech some time ago, we got the population of each of these 15 nations from an institute in Germany. Because of what happened to us in the case of the CIA World Fact Book, in which we obtain information as regards the population of the ethnic groups in Nigeria. The CIA World Fact Book clearly stated that the Yoruba is the majority, with 60 million people at 25% of Nigerian population. Because we released that statement out, we asked young Yoruba to go onto that website and confirm it by themselves. The Nigerian Population Commission met with the CIA World Fact Book through the federal government of Nigeria and changed all the information. We contested it for several months in 2018, but nothing was done. Because of that, we have decided not to release information from where we gather our data to be interpreted to all of you. So the 15 nations that were merged together in 1914 to create Nigeria are Yoruba nation. Our current population is 60 million people. We are the majority in Nigeria, and we are also the economic backbone. Number two is Hausa Fulani nation with 49.4 million people. Number three is Igbo nation with 40 million people. Number four is Ijaw nation with 14 million people. Number five is Efik Ibibio nation with 14.1 million people. Number six is Gbagi nation with 8 million people. Number seven is Kanuri nation with 7.4 million people. Number eight is Edo Urobo. Because of the close proximity, we know that these two are different nations, but because of the close proximity, they have always been tied together as Edo Urobo nation, which is 7 million people. Number nine is Tiv nation with 5.6 million people. Number 10 is Nope nation with 4.5 million people. Number 11 is Idoma nation with 4.2 million people. Number 12 is Ibira, Igala nation with 3.5 million people. Number 13 is Bariba Busawa nation with 3.4 million people. Number 14 is Birom Angas nation with 2.2 million people. And number 15 is Adamawa nation, which included a number of ethnic groups put together with 1.5 million people. The Constitution of 1914, called Lord Lugard Constitution, was enacted into law to create Nigeria. Nigeria was not created with a fiat, and this nation became one country of 15 nations. Now let's quickly go to the number two constitution, which is called the Clifford Constitution of 1922. This was enacted into law to allow for the formation of political parties in Nigeria along the ethnic line, as well as to allow indigenous people to participate in the governance of their respective regions. Let me tell you one thing. when the Constitution of 1914 was established, legislated and promulgated by the English to bring 15 nations together to form one country, people of that generation started antagonizing the English, saying that they cannot come from England and be ruling over them. So because of that agitation, the English were not killing them like the horrible Fulani are doing today. Anybody that have contrary opinion, boo, they will bring out the useless Nigerian army and start killing people. People started agitating after the 1914 election. So when you say 1914, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, about 8 years. 8 years later, the English listened to the indigenous people of Nigeria and allowed them to form political parties and allowed them to govern themselves. In that 1922 constitution, and this is going to shock you, the Hausa Fulani said that they don't want to be part of Nigeria because they were forced together with other 15 nations. So they said they don't want to be part of Nigeria. What happened? In the 1922 constitution, the northern part of Nigeria, including Hausa Fulani, Kanuri, Nupe, Tif, and the rest of them, they were removed from Nigeria. It's shocking, right? That is the beauty of reading. 1922 constitution, go and read it. The northern Nigeria was removed. Nigeria was created in 1914 via a constitution. By 8 years after, the northern Nigeria was removed. It was to be governed by an individual without any legislative power in northern Nigeria. Because the people, when we were marched together, they said, no, we have different culture, we have different religion, we're not the same people, we don't want to be part of these people. So they were removed in 1922. Now, from 1922 to 1946, did you think people just accepted the nonsense that the English created? No, because the people were not consulted. When the 1914 constitution was written, the people were not consulted. That's the same nonsense system that the Fulani are still practicing. You will see it. So in 1946, prior to 1946, people started agitating. And when I say people started agitating, the Yoruba were essentially agitating, condemning the 1922 constitution, saying that it doesn't give them their desire to control their own nation. So this 1946 constitution, called Richard Constitution, divided Nigeria into 3 regions and created the regional government. I hope you guys are going through this. 1914, the irresponsible English colonial thug left their own nation in England, marched people together, 15 people, 15 nations together to create a country called Nigeria, right? Then the people started saying, no, we don't want this. So by 1922, they wrote another constitution which removed the northern part of Nigeria and left the southern part. But the people who are in the southern part started saying, no, we're not the same. We don't want this nonsense. We can't accept this. How can you force people together? So the English wrote another constitution called Richard Constitution of 1946. That constitution divided Nigeria into 3 regions. You see, one thing I benefited while preparing for this lecture is that, you see, this is what compromises and negotiation is all about. You force people together. Some part said, no, we don't want to be part of you. By 1922, you remove them. The other one, which were left as Nigeria, they started agitating, saying, we are not the same. We cannot be one. What happened? 1946 constitution, the English colonial thugs divided Nigeria into 3. So 1946, they brought back the North, but they have now divided the country into 3. The country was initially 15 nations, merged together. One was removed. The other one that was left, saying, no, we're not the same. So they brought the one that was removed together with the old one and divided them into 3. 1946, that was the first time regional system of government started in Nigeria. Yeah, you're right, Mr. Aromila. When they removed the Hausa Fulani North in 1922, they brought in indirect rule. Because the Hausa Fulani simply said to the English that, look, I'm not part of these people. We are not of the same language. We are not of the same culture. Why should we force us together? So the English removed them in 1922. They brought in the indirect rule. So they left them to be ruling themselves. But the people in the South started fighting, saying, no, we're not the same thing. The Yoruba said they are not the same thing with Igbo. The English said, okay, if you are not, okay, boom. The English divided them into 3 regions, 1946. The Constitution allowed, that 1946 Constitution, it allows for regional constitution. So each have their own constitution. Each region had its own legislative body, the regional houses of assembly, managed by the indigenous people of the 3 regions to advise the English colonial government on how to run each region. So the 1946 Constitution divided Nigeria into 3. It allows each region to govern themselves on their own, but they will be advising the English colonial thugs how to govern each region. This constitution recognized regionalism as an alternative to political unification. Do you get it? I hope you guys can get it clearly. It's not a big deal. English came in 1914. They fucked up everything. Merged 15 nations into a country called Nigeria, 1914. The Hausa Fulani protested, saying that no, they are not the same with these people that you have merged us together. The English removed them in 1922 and give them indirect rule to rule themselves. But down south, they were telling and protesting, saying, no, the Yoruba were protesting that we're not the same as Igbo. We don't know these people. Why should you allow these people to be coming into our space? We don't want this nonsense. The English were like, oh my God, what is wrong with these people? Then in 1946, the English said, okay, I accepted you guys are not the same, so you have regions. Reasonable, is that not? Reasonable. So the 1946 Constitution divided Nigeria into 3. You know, Nigeria started from 15 nations. That divided Nigeria into 3 regions. Now, that was 1946. And you will feel like, okay, everything should be fine now. But the 1946 Constitution did not allow the indigenous people to rule. The 3 regions were still being led by the English, which the indigenous people were against. So what happened? Another constitution called Macpherson Constitution of 1951 was enacted into law. Now, the 1951 Constitution created, shockingly, you don't know, the central government of Nigeria, which is today called the federal government of Nigeria. Federal government of Nigeria is a junior partner to the regional government of Nigeria. The regional government of Nigeria were created in 1946. Federal government of Nigeria was created in 1951. You see, Nigeria had a very, very beautiful system, but that system was destroyed by the irresponsible Igbo criminals. So you can see that the Macpherson Constitution of 1951 created this federal government of Nigeria, which was called the central government of Nigeria. The central government was weak, comparable with the regional government. The regional government was exercising broad legislative powers, which could not be overridden by the newly established central government. That was the 1951 Constitution. You need to read it to understand what we're saying. We will tell you nothing but the truth. In 1951, the federal government was a very, very weak central government. It does not have power to override the decision of the regional government. The regional governments were more powerful than the federal government. Then in 1951, the people were not really satisfied. You know, they were different nations before, 15 of them. You fought them together. They were trying to go back to their natural boundaries. That was why they have these conflicts. You understand? That was why all the constitution, they were rejecting it. So the 1951 Constitution only lasted for 3 years. By 1954, there was another one. listing Constitution of 1954. Look at what this Constitution did. This Constitution firmly established the parliamentary system of government with greater autonomy for the regions and a weak central government. The 1954 Constitution gave more power to the region, and the central government became weaker, and weaker. It has always been the weaker vessel, the central government. Igbo created the monster that you see today called the federal government of Nigeria. Igbo created it because they lack access to the sea and they have no crude oil. They wanted to control the Yoruba waterways and the Yoruba crude oil. That was why the Igbo made federal government the most powerful federal government in the world. Igbo are born criminals. I tell you, they are born criminals. So that 1954 Constitution gave more power to the regions, and the central government became very weak. The western and northern region, this is why I want young Yoruba to listen to this very well. The western region, which is predominantly Yoruba, and the northern region, which is predominantly Hausa Fulani, had what is called bicameral legislature. It's going to be very interesting. Bicameral legislature means that they have two houses of assemblies, House of Obas and House of Common. Hausa Fulani region and Yoruba region had bicameral legislature. Igbo had unicameral legislature. They only have the House of Common. They don't have House of Obas. Obas were called chief then. Why was this the case? The English colonial tour, when they came to Nigeria and created the first constitution of 1914, realized that the Igbo nation had no monarchical system of government. They had no kings. But if these idiot Igbo are doing their stupid, useless Nollywood movie, they will be waving Irukere that belongs to Yoruba, and they will be wearing beads, people who never had king. Look at their red cap, head woman. How can somebody wear that in a tropical region? They got that cap from them from Morocco. Igbo nation had no ingenuity of their own to do their own cap. Hausa have their own cap, Yoruba have their own cap. Igbo cannot create a cap because they don't have the human capital. So in 1954, the Yoruba Western region had two legislative houses. One called House of Chiefs, which we usually call House of Oba. The one called the House of Common. The same thing in Hausa Fulani, they have bicameral legislature. One for their emirs and one for the commoners. But in Igbo land, they had one because they have never had a king. So there's no need for that. But they will fumble today. They will call this one is Eze, this one is Obi, this is English. All of these kings in Igbo land, they were warrant officers, English appointed warrant officers. They don't have a king. But today, you look at their movie, they are using Yoruba traditional wear, dressing like human beings, people who are fucked up people, criminally minded. Look, there is no country on earth where they don't have monarchical system of government. Before Jesus Christ was born, it has always been. Any nation that does not have such lack human capital. That's why I keep telling you that Igbo people are not industrious. They are common criminals. They do crime all over the world. They do crime. As of today, I'm working on a policy. It's going to be a very funny name that I've given the policy, decentralizing of protests. I'm working on that policy. By the time I've made my observation, I eventually propounded all manners of theory. By the time I fine-tune my theory, you will see it will be acceptable by the federal government. You know why I'm doing that? I make simple observation. Every protest that happens outside Igbo land, it is Igbo people that are always involved. Any protest in Yoruba land, it is Igbo that are organizing it. Protest in Gwari land, it is Igbo that are organizing it. They have never organized protests in Hausa land or Kanuri land. But they organize protests in Middle Belt. They also organize protests in South. So you see, every time people will say, we're asking for Biafra, they will be protesting in Germany, they will be protesting in London, they will be protesting in New York. Why don't you protest in your own space? So that is the attribute of the Yoruba now. Now, Yoruba have now embraced the nonsense of the Igbo. They will gang up themselves in London saying they are protesting for Biafra. What is the business of English in your fucking Biafra that you are protesting for Oduduwa nation? They call it Oduduwa nation. They now go to America protesting for Oduduwa nation. We're looking for a way to decentralize protest so that Igbo, we will bust you into Igbo land. That is the only place you will do your rubbish protest. You will no longer influence our children to follow you with your stupidity of protesting all across the world. By the time I'm done with the policy, you see everybody will accept it. I've just given you an insight into what I'm thinking. We want to stop protest in Nigeria. And it's very good. I'm actually reading Margaret Thatcher, how she stopped the protest of the union, of the labor union. Then I'm reading about that, getting information all across the world. And we will just want to stop Igbo protests in Yoruba land. Igbo protest in your fucked up homeland. That is it. So you see, the 1954 constitutions allow for Yoruba to have bicameral legislature, allow for Hausa Fulani region to have bicameral legislature, but only Igbo nation had unicameral legislature, one parliament, because they don't have kings. So don't let them bullshit you and say that it is our culture. Yeah, they have stolen all Yoruba culture, people who are not proud of who they are. Now, that constitution then made provision for the position of the governor general for the region. In the case of Yoruba land, our governor general, who is the head of state of Yoruba land, was Oni of Ife. The head of the House of Chief was Alaafin. That is the position of our president. Then our premier, Awolowo. That has always been. So the Constitution of 1954 made provision for governors and premier to assume control of the regional government, and governor general and prime minister to assume the control of the central government. We don't call it federal government. Federal government was the stupid Igbo creation. It's Igbo that called this thing federal government. It has always been the central government, and that is the name we're going to go back to. So the same 1954 constitution, I mentioned it yesterday. Now let me quickly talk about this, which I have educated you long about in the past. You know, there was a time the Igbo are always saying, you know, why have we stopped from saying Lagos is no man's land? You know, we stopped the Igbo. They've always been saying Lagos is the capital of Nigeria. Lagos is a lie. Only Victoria Island in Lagos was the capital of Nigeria. Ekpe, Badagry, Ikorodu, mainland Lagos, they were never part of the capital of Nigeria. They were part of the Western region. The 1954 constitution excised Victoria Island from Western region. There was no capital of Nigeria as at then. That constitution made provision for the federal capital of Nigeria to be established. It established Lagos Island as the federal capital of Nigeria in 1954. And I will say, like I said yesterday, Lagos Island, not the entire Lagos, because people don't tend to get it. Lagos Island became the capital of Nigeria in 1954. It ceased to be capital of Nigeria in 1976. It was only capital of Nigeria for 22 years. Why did you think that the capital of Nigeria was moved to Abuja? Because of Igbo. During the war, Igbo people were blowing up Lagos. They lied that they were fighting Hausa Fulani. Instead of them to move to the north and be killing Hausa Fulani, they were killing people in Lagos. After the war, Awolowo said, we don't want the capital in Yoruba land anymore. So in case of future war, take the war away from Yoruba land. So Awolowo moved the motion. They actually deceived Muritala Mohammed. They deceived him that, for security reasons, because Lagos has water, people can come from America, people can come from the neighboring country and attack the government, blah, 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 who move the seat of government to Abuja, that is central. It will be difficult to attack and remove them. We fool Muritala Mohammed. We move the capital to Abuja so that the Igbo cannot lay claim to Lagos anymore. Till today, they still want to live and die in Lagos. And before Lagos was made capital of Nigeria, in the 1954 constitution, you don't do things. There's something that you will like about the English. They don't just do things without consultation. People were complaining and they were making changes. They were reviewing things. Before they could make Lagos as a capital, they have to include that in the constitution of 1954. Before Lagos was the capital, Calabar was the capital of Nigeria. Before Calabar, Lokoja was the capital of Nigeria. Nigeria. You understand? Lagos became capital in 1954. So that was the 5 constitution enacted into law by the English colonial government. And I'll tell you again so that you have recollection. Number 1 was Lord Lugard Constitution of 1914. That constitution was created essentially, was rather promulgated essentially to create Nigeria. So Nigeria was not just created in vacuum. A constitution backed it up. That's how nation is. Then agitation were on, in which the Hausa Fulani led other northerners and said they don't want to be part of Nigeria. So in 1922, a new constitution was written that removes Hausa Fulani regions and the other northern part from Nigeria. That is shocking to some of you. Then the other Yoruba, Ijo, Igbo, and the other were left to be part of Nigeria. Then Yoruba started agitating that no, we don't like this. So in 1946, another constitution was written that created regional government. You understand? Because of the people asking for more. But even at that, the indigenous people were not allowed to be part of the government of the regional government. It was still being controlled by the English. So in 1951, the people continued to complain. A new constitution was written that clearly defined the power of the regional government and created the central government for the first time. So you see that central government was created in 1951. The region had their own power. So that was when Awolowo in 1951 was appointed the Minister of Government Business. He combines the role of local government chairman for all local government in Yoruba, minister and all other positions, handed over to Awolowo in 1951. That was the first time the Constitution of 1951 made provision for indigenous people to govern themselves. It was the first time that the English were gradually asked to go. Then another constitution in 1954 that created the federal capital of Nigeria as Victoria Island. And clearly again stated that, look, the region, this is your power. The central government was very weak. So you see, that has been the process. That was the first 5 constitutions that we had in Nigeria. Now, let us look at the last 5, because we've had 10 constitutions. From 1914 to 1919, we have produced 10 constitutions. Now, let us look at the 5 constitutions of Nigeria enacted into law by the people of Nigeria. Number 1 is 1960 Constitution. Number 2 is 1963 Constitution. Number 3 is 1979 Constitution. Number 4 is 1993 Constitution. Number 5 is 1999 Constitution. This is where you need to sit down, listen to me attentively. To change the course of history, you just need to understand what has happened in the past. Make simple observation about the present situation of things. You will be able to predict the future changing course of history. 1963 Constitution was the most beautiful constitution. The constitution was negotiated for 2 years. The English said to the people that made up Nigeria that since we merged you together in 1914, you have always been shouting you don't want to live together, right? This is your own chance. Go and select your leaders. We will accommodate them in London. They should sit down and decide how their country, Nigeria, should be governed. So they gave them that option. If you wish not to stay together, fine, you can go on your separate way. If you wish to stay together, then produce a constitution of how your country should be together. The Yoruba and Hausa Fulani actually don't want to stay together in Nigeria. It was only Igbo who wanted Nigeria to be a country. For them to accept, for the other Yoruba and Hausa to accept to form a union with Igbo inside Nigeria, they proposed for regional governments. Igbo came to that negotiation to say that let us practice unitary system. that because we all have black skin, we should be one and the same. Awolowo said no. Ahmadu Bello said no, we're not one and the same. We might have the same black skin, we're not one and the same. The Igbo were bitter. That is the honest truth. Because if they were not bitter, they wouldn't have destroyed that constitution. So we negotiated for 2 years and produced the most beautiful constitution in a multicultural nation. Even though there are certain flaws in that constitution, as you can see, from 1914 to 1954, the constitution was changed about 5 times. So there was room for amendment to the constitution. But what I'm actually trying to say is that after 2 years of negotiation, 1957 to 1959, we all agree that we will stay together as a country of 3 nations. That after independence, the Hausa Fulani that controls the north will divide the north into 5 regions. Hausa Fulani region, Kanuri region, Western Middle Belt, Central Middle Belt, and Eastern Middle Belt, making 5. The Yoruba that controls the Western region will divide it into 2. Yoruba region of Western region and Midwest, Edo and Urhobo region. The Igbo people that control the East will divide that region into 3. Igbo region, Ijaw region, and Ogoja, Calabar Ogoja Rivers region. You understand? Making 10 regions. That was part of the provisions. We shook hands and everybody goes their separate way. A constitution has been agreed on. Parliamentary system is what we're going to practice. So we all went home. The English were happy and they left on the 1st of October 1960. That was not the only thing that we agreed at that constitution. 1, we agreed for parliamentary system, we agreed for regional government, we agreed for the name of Nigeria to be called Federation of Nigeria. Nobody agreed to that stupid name, Federal Republic of Nigeria. No. Like I said to you, federation means a group of nations coming together to form a country with a weak central government. That is what federation is. A group of nations coming together to form a country with a weak central government. So the regions will be independent and strong. Republic simply means otherwise. Republic means a strong center. That is what the Igbo have always been wanting because they lack 2 things, waterways and crude oil. In fairness to the Hausa and Igbo, I say Igbo, Hausa and Fulani, in fairness to them, they never wanted to appropriate Yoruba wealth. They were exposed to that intention by Igbo. It has always been Igbo who wishes to appropriate other people's wealth. That is the honest truth. So all this Yoruba Libra, because their wife is Igbo or their husband is Igbo, or because they are having sex with Igbo, they always go with Igbo. Igbo that are the problem of Nigeria. Not actually Fulani. Fulani took advantage of what the Igbo destroyed. So that was it. Everything was fine. That was the good constitution. We started with 3 regions. We were to move to 10. But Igbo had an ulterior motive. So in 1962, they first arrested Awolowo. The English left October 1, 1960. A year and 6 months later, after the English left, in May 1962, Hausa, Fulani, and Igbo put Awolowo in prison. It is not for fun, because the Igbo don't like the regional governments. It will not enable them to control the Yoruba crude oil and waterways. So they went to Hausa Fulani and said to them, look, Yoruba is rich. Look at what they are doing. They are building cocoa house. They have television station. We don't have. Look at their roads. Their children are having free education. They have free health care. They are giving welfare benefit to their people. What do we have? We don't have anything. How are they doing it? It is their crude oil. It is their waterways. Let us change the constitution and control these people. Boom! Fulani got the message and said, wow, you are talking sense. Yes, we don't have the crude oil. We don't have the waterways. So this is it. Don't worry, I'm in with you. I'm telling you the truth. That is how it happens. So in 1962, they put Awolowo in prison. The moment they put Awolowo in prison, the Igbo and Fulani set the machinery in motion to change the constitution. So in 1963, they succeeded. They changed the constitution of Nigeria in 1963. Only the Yoruba region was not involved in that. You know how they came about this? When they wanted to change Nigerian constitution in 1963, they said to us that, look, we cannot accept for the queen to be the head of state. We have to change the queen from being our head of state. Zik was the governor general. He was representing, he was standing in for the queen. Tafawa Balewa was the actual power, the prime minister. Even if you don't want the queen to have any resemblance of relationship with Nigeria, you just say that you don't want him. It doesn't mean that you have to change the name of the country. We are a federation, meaning that we are a country of many nations. How can you change us to a republic when we are not one nation? France is a republic because it's one people. They speak one language. You don't call a multicultural country a republic. Yoruba can be a republic. That's why we are saying Oduduwa Republic. Because Yoruba is one. If you leave Lagos to Ilorin, it is the same Yoruba. If you get to Lagos, if you leave Lagos, you get to Ilorin. Eriwo ya. There are people that will answer you back. Ayago, Ayato. If you leave Ilorin, you move to Kaba. Shout Eriwo ya. There are people that will respond back to you. You leave Kaba, you go to Ekiti. You say the same thing. There are people that we are one. Yoruba can be a republic. Nigeria can never be a republic because it is not a one nation. But because Igbo have the ulterior motive to suppress and subjugate the Yoruba, they convinced the Fulani to change the constitution in 1963. So that was how the 1963 constitution came to be, that changed the name of Nigeria to a republic, and they turned the federal government to the almighty powerful federal government. You know how the constitution that we have had in Nigeria from 1914 to 1960, the central has always been the weakest. But today, what do you have? Do you know how powerful Buhari is? That is why Buhari is scared of giving the same power to Tinubu. Fulani are scared of giving the same power to Tinubu. Igbo don't want Tinubu to be president. English don't want Tinubu to be president because they know that the power of that federal republic, federal government, is a do or die power. Igbo created that monster of a federation. So they changed. Republic refers to a country whose supreme power is exercised by an elected or nominated president with a powerful central government and a weak regional government. Lack of crude oil and waterway forced the Igbo to be greedy. That's why I keep saying to you that Igbo nation lack human capital. They don't have the brain power. What is the wealth of Japanese? Look at what they are producing from their country. What is the wealth of Denmark? 45% of the gross domestic product of Denmark is generated from Lagos, Yoruba land. The greediness of the Igbo, because of the lack of crude oil and waterways, they centralize all the power in the hands of the federal government. Call Nigeria a republic. They don't even know the meaning of a republic. It is people that speak one language, have one culture, one norms and value system. Is that what we have in Nigeria? Igbo are criminals. They destroy Nigeria. They destroy that beautiful name, Federation of Nigeria. Go and Google that name. Federation means stronger regions with a weak central government. So folks, the 1963 Constitution of Nigeria was the product of only the Igbo and Hausa flag. The Yoruba did not participate in writing that constitution. the Igbo and Fulani, and that constitution stands rejected. That is why they don't want Tinubu to be president, because we're going to give you a new brown constitution. That's why they don't want him to. Igbo destroy Nigeria. So you horrible Yoruba liberals that are following Igbo because we're having sex with them, shame on you, because you have no sense of history. We don't tell it, so I tell you, blame me to roll to me. The 1963 Constitution continued to be operational until a military coup in 1966 overthrew Nigeria's democratic institutions. So the only constitution you will find out, the only constitution that the Yoruba nation has ever participated in enacting into law was the 1960 Constitution. All the other constitution, Yoruba never got involved in them. And we will change this course of history, because we will be the one to give the country a new constitution if Nigeria remains a going concern. So after the horrible 1963 Constitution that changed our name to a republic, when we are not one country, when we are a country of many nations, the military came in 1966 and took over governance. They used that useless 1963 Constitution. So in 1979, a new constitution was enacted into law. This was promulgated into law by the Hausa Fulani and the Igbo, led by Mr. Obasanjo. The constitution replaced the parliamentary system of government with the American presidential system of government. Nigeria used to practice the UK parliamentary system of government. Why is that so? Because parliament system is good in a country of many nations. Presidential system is good in a country of one nation. America is one nation, in case you don't know. Foreigners left their respective countries, English, French, German, Italian, Spanish, Belgium, and the rest of them. They left Europe as Europeans. They moved to a new continent, a new country called America. When they got there, they adopted English as their language. They adopted English culture, English norms and value system and ways of life. Why? Because English were the first to get to America from all the rest of the Europeans. So when they got to America as different people, they were leaving their home continent. They got to another continent and became one. In such a country, presidential system is reasonable. Whether you are English, French, Germans, blah, 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 that left your European country, the moment you got to America, you embrace the identity and ideology of the first person that got there, the English. Because the English were the one ruling in America. So they adopted that language. So they became a nation, one people. But if they come down to Europe, they become different people, Germans, French, and the rest of them. So it was easier for them to adopt presidential system. Look at the people of the United Kingdom. The English, the Welsh, the Irish, and the Scottish. They are all indigenous to United Kingdom. But if you go to America, the French, the Germans, the Spanish, the Italian, they are not indigenous to America. They are immigrants. That's why I love that country. Their president will say the truth, that America is a country of immigrants. They speak the truth. So in 1979, stupid Obasanjo, a half Igbo, with his group of Hausa Fulani, changed the constitution of Nigeria, rather than for Nigeria to continue with the parliamentary system. Because we are not a country of immigrants. We are a country of many indigenous nations. Parliamentary system is the best political system in such a society. Obasanjo, Hausa Fulani, and Igbo adopted American presidential system. Why do you think they adopted American presidential system? Because they want to forge an imaginary unity of one nation. That's why you will see Igbo when they are campaigning. We are one Nigeria. Because they don't have crude oil and waterways. They want to control the Yoruba crude oil and waterway. When you see Hausa Fulani, one Nigeria, one Nigeria. Have you ever seen Yoruba shouting one Nigeria? Right? The 1979 Constitution was written by the Igbo and Fulani to steal your crude oil and waterways, Yoruba. Now they lie to you. They say we are practicing American system because that is what they said in that constitution, presidential system. Before, we don't conduct presidential system whereby a Yoruba man want to be president, he will go to Igbo land, he will go to Hausa land, he will go to Yoruba land, he will go to Ijo land to come fast for it. It's too expensive. Under parliamentary system, you just vote in your local area. You campaign in your local area. If your party has the majority of the MP, your party will form government. If you are the leader of your party, you will be the president or your prime minister. You understand? So they lied to us in that 1979 constitution, saying that we are practicing American presidential system. That's the bullshit. If you go to America today, is it Joe Biden that is controlling the police? No. The police is controlled in America by the respective state government. Is it Joe Biden that is controlling the military? A lot of people are confused. No. The military of America is controlled by the respective state government. But when there is a war, the president of America will mobilize for military from all the national guards and send them to war in any country. They lied to you that the 1979 presidential system of government is to copy America. Who controls the crude oil in Texas? Who controls the crude oil in California? Who controls the crude oil in Alaska? Not the president of America, but the governments of these respective states. Even taxes in America is not controlled by the federal government. It's controlled by the state. What they agreed to is that the state will give certain percentage of its wealth to the federal governments. Is that the system we're practicing in Nigeria? That was what Obasanjo said to you. We're giving you American presidential system when we are not immigrants, when we are not one people. We're different nations. Why should we practice presidential system of government? It doesn't make sense. Why they wanted us to practice presidential system of government is because they want to claim your land. That's why Igbo will say Lagos is no man's land. That's why your police, your military, your port, everything in Yoruba and Fulani are controlling it. Because the constitution they've given you is bullshit. They know Tinubu will change it. That's why they don't want him to be president. Horrible people. I remember when we were lobbying some senators, they actually said to me that you've got to be careful. They would like to assassinate you. So this is what is going on in your country. I said, yes. But he encouraged me. When I spoke to him and he realizes that we still continue to do this thing year in, year after, he was impressed with us, saying that you guys are very determined. Are we not changing the course of history? Are we not changing the state of mind of the people? We are. So the 1979 Constitution was written by the Igbo and Fulani. They gave you presidential system of government, saying that you have to campaign, canvass for vote across Nigeria when we are not the same people. It doesn't make sense. If we look critically at the American Constitution, look at what happened with President Trump. Didn't he leave? He left. Even though he was raging. If he happens to be operating under the useless Nigerian Constitution, he will have used the military to retain himself in power. That is the power of Buhari, useless man that you call the president of Nigeria. A horrible soul for that matter. What is the big deal? Why these guys will not allow for the decentralization of the military? Just look at it. Look at what happened in the last election in America. You think an opposition would defeat a sitting president in Nigeria without bloodbaths? But it happened in America because they are practicing real federalism. Federalism means that the states in America are independent on their own. A state, if you commit a crime in California, you go to the magistrate court. In California, from magistrate court, you move to the high court. In California, from high court, you challenge the case to the appeal court. In California, from appeal court, you challenge the case to the Supreme Court. In California. But what do you have? Is that the same system you have? You start a case in Lagos now. It will end up in Abuja High Court, Abuja Supreme Court. Is that nonsense? That's why you see an election tribunal, they ended up outside Yoruba. Is that the system in America? Even when they are even practicing presidential system. Go and study the presidential system of America. It's like regional government. The states are independent. The states can set their own taxes. They control their own wealth. They control the security in each state. Only federal government controls gun in Nigeria. It is not so in America. Each state controls its own police and its own military. Federal government controls everything, and they lie to you. We are practicing federal presidential system of government, American presidential system. They are stealing your words. You see, the problem of Nigeria, we have solved it. If Yoruba nation must be free, Lagos must be burned down. That is the honest truth. As long as Lagos continues to make money for the federal government, Yoruba land will never be free, unless you put your son as the president of Nigeria. And this is what we've been telling you. You will see the details as we move on in our day's campaign. You put Tinubu there. I know a lot of you who are agitating, Oduduwa Republic, you'll be calling for my arrest. When Tinubu is here, you see me in Lagos, because we're going to shut down that Lagos. That is the second phase of our campaign. Tinubu is there, we'll shut down Lagos. He doesn't give us regional government, we mess up everywhere. He will give us regional government by force. In his under 6 months. And soon, Amaba Boni, second phase of our campaign. All of this we've been doing for many years is just the first phase. Get the presidency. And it's the most difficult phase. Just like the 1963 Constitution, the 1979 Constitution of Nigeria was the product of the Igbo and Fulani. It has no input of the Yoruba nation. Today, ask Igbo youth. Ask them this question, Igbo youth. Will you accept to control the police in Igbo land so that you are not police in Yoruba land? Will you accept to control the military in Igbo land so that you will never work in the Yoruba military? Tell Igbo youth there, they will say, no, we are one Nigeria. Because what? Their target is to kill you, Yoruba. Challenge Hausa Fulani youth that let us decentralize the police and the military. So you, Hausa Fulani, control your home military in your region. Control your home police in your region. So that we, Yoruba, will control our home police in our region. We'll control our home military in our region. We'll put our children there. Fulani will not accept. Why? Because they want to use that gun to suppress you. It is not Jesus Christ. Don't say, for salvation of your soul. Right? And another thing, when it comes to politics, Jesus will need help. So all of these people, they will never accept a Yoruba to be president of Nigeria. We are not talking about ordinary Yoruba, full-blooded. Somebody that his mother is Yoruba, his father is Yoruba. He will never have divided loyalty. So to Ofikwe, Tinubu get president, Talo Kifun Yahweh Ninule, Yahweh to Jomo Yoruba, full-blooded. So kò ní sọ fún Tinubu pé look, kí ló ń ṣẹlẹ̀? Àwọn ọmọ yìí ń jà o. Kí ló tó fi gbé Adéyínká ọjọ́ lọ fílẹ̀ o. Àwọn èèyàn tí wá bá mi, wọ́n ti wá ń pariwo lé mi lórí o. Ó máa fi wálẹ̀ ni. Ọ̀dẹ̀ kó lọ jẹ́ kí Tinubu jẹ president, kó jẹ́ pé ìyàwó ẹ̀ Ìgbò, ìwọ Yorùbá wá sọ pé ó fẹ́ ṣe nǹkan. Kò ní ràn ẹ́. Á ní kó máa sọ fún Tinubu kó pa ẹ́ ni. Á ní kó pa ẹ́ pò ń dà lóru. Because Igbo ni. Somebody with divided loyalty will help. Particularly àwọn lófò kétù tí yẹ pé half Yoruba, half Igbo. Tó ń dalẹ̀ Yorùbá. So we're talking about the Constitution of Nigeria. We've had 10. Out of these 10, just one had the input of the Yoruba. All other, Yoruba did not have an input there. Fulani have been controlling Nigeria since 1960. Fulani and Igbo. They are the people that are always writing the Constitution. And they are giving us horrible shit, useless Constitution. Now let's go to 1993 Constitution. This Constitution was promulgated into law by Hausa Fulani, led by Babangida. A lot of people say Babangida is Nupe. Babangida is Hausa. Hausa, only Babangida. But that constitution was never fully implemented. The 1993 constitution. The constitution created two-party system in an attempt to kill regional political identity for the fake one Nigeria identity the Igbo and the Fulani had always wanted. Now, look at this. Actually, when we abuse the English, we must cut them some kind of respect. When they were with us, enslaving, colonizing, and controlling our life, which we don't like, we disagree with their stupidity, but they were always very honest to a large extent. They allow you to have regional parties. Yeah, Yoruba have your own political parties. Igbo have your own, Hausa have, because in their own country, they have regional parties. Conservative is English political parties. Scottish National Party is Scottish National Parties. The Welsh, they have their own party. In Northern Ireland, they have their own party too. But in 1979, Obasanjo, who wrote the 1979 Constitution, ensured there is no regional party anymore. Why is it that black people always do evil towards each other? Why must we have one national party? We are not one nation. We are a country of 15 nations. We should have at least 3 different political ideologies. The Yoruba should have a political party that is affiliated to Yoruba nation. But if you go to INEC now, you said you want to register Yoruba National Party, they will tell you no because it has Yoruba name in it. What are you trying to do? Are you trying to play God? God Almighty never created Nigeria. It was created by the English. Even the English who created Nigeria gave opportunities for regional parties. But in 1979, they stopped that regional party. Obasanjo, he stopped it. He said the party must be everywhere. It was Obasanjo who said that for you to be president, you have to campaign all across Nigeria because they don't want Yoruba to rule. That was why he wrote that 1979 Constitution. 1993 Constitution. Babangida maintained the same shit. He created 2 political parties, SDP and NRC. When you black people relate with each other, you are always evil towards yourself. White people are not evil. I'm telling you, when they relate with one another, they relate with each other with respect and decorum. But if they want to destroy black people, they can join forces to destroy you. But when they are relating with each other, white and white, look at Scottish and English. They relate with each other with respect and decorum. The English will never talk down on the Scottish. They will never impose their own on the Scottish. But what do you see? Fulani impose on Yoruba people. They control our political economy. You go to INEC, you want to register a political party, they said it has to have offices across Nigeria. You can have a political party only in Lagos by sophisticated, brilliant people. You can call it Lagos Party. That party is not interested in national party. They do it in England. They do it in UK. We're going to go to the poll on May 6th. There's so many political parties. I have the pamphlet here. Go to INEC. You want to register Yoruba National Party, they will tell you no. You are a horrible nation. Horrible people. You are never decent when you deal with each other. It is because of the nonsense constitution that has been written by Igbo and Fulani. They just impress everything and impose everything on the Yoruba nation. So that was what Babangida did in 1993. But the constitution was never fully implemented because the idiot annulled Abiola's election and left. So after that 1993, we had another one, which we are all using now, the 1999 Constitution. This constitution was promulgated into law by Hausa Fulani people, led by Abdulsalam Abubakar. It's an Hausa man. It's not from Nupe. It's not a Nupe man. It's a Hausa man. You erroneously think that it's Nupe. That is the man that killed MKO Abiola. Imagine if you have Tinubu as president. You can call him and arrest him and prosecute him. He killed MKO Abiola. Under this useless 1999 Constitution, no part of Nigeria has the power to form its own independent government or secede from the country. Yeah, it is in that Constitution. If you want me to read the section for you, I can read it. Abdulsalam Abubakar wrote that Constitution with some Igbo and predominantly Hausa Fulani. The indivisibility clause was enshrined into the constitution just to try and keep Nigeria together under the unitary system. They are scared that Tinubu is going to change it. That's why they don't want that guy to be president. They keep giving him all manners of problems. In Article 2 of the Constitution of 1999, it states that Nigeria is one indivisible and indissoluble sovereign state to be known by the name, the Federal Republic of Nigeria. They have taken Yoruba for granted for far too long. Minority wrote the Constitution of Nigeria for the Yoruba to work with. That is what it says, individuals. Look at how the English got involved. Even when they wrote the Constitution in 1914, we were debating it, rejecting it. They keep changing it. They keep changing it. They keep changing it. So that we can have, they keep removing the 1914, 1922, 1946, 1951, 1954. The English were changing it. Because the only thing that is constant is change. Stupid Abu Salam Abubakar with some Igbo guy, this man that was crying, that hugged Atiku. This Igbo man that hugged Atiku and was crying. He was part of those who wrote the shit constitution of 1999. And they imposed it on us. Under Article 2 says that Nigeria is one indivisible, indissoluble, sovereign state to be known by the name Federal Republic of Nigeria. You only use a republic for a nation of people of the same language, the same culture, the same norms and value system. You cannot call Nigeria a republic because it's a country of 15 nations. It has to be a federation. It cannot be a republic. You black people are shit in Nigeria. And you said you are brilliant Yoruba. How can you accept that? What is the Igbo calling their Biafra? Is it Biafra Republic? Stupid people. They want Igbo. It's a different language. Edo, they have their own language. Urobo has its own language. Ijo has its own language. Efik Ibibio. And they are calling it Biafra Republic. Stupid people, criminal minds. You are going to get Indigo Republic. Only Igbo people. You will never get it because you will not accept it. If Tinubu is the president of Nigeria, he will offer the Igbo on a platter of gold in the Igbo Republic. That is when you will see the shame of the Igbo. They will reject it. Tinubu will give them, take. This is your republic, Igbo speaking republic. They will reject it because the only reason they want Biafra is to take other people's land. So there is indivisibility clause in the Constitution of Nigeria put there by Abu Salam Abubakar, a one man. What Article 2 of the Constitution means is that the only way to peacefully and legally grant the dissolution of Nigeria is through an amendment to Article 2 of the Constitution. Now, imagine you say, oh, I want to do a republic. No election. Kò sí election, kò sí wèrè. Wọ́n táwọn lo ṣílí Brian sọ yẹn o. Kò sí election. Àwọn Libra kò sí election. Nígbà election irọ́ náà pa máa sọ̀rọ̀ lórí yẹn later. Imagine you put Tinubu as the president of Nigeria and Tinubu only just amended Article 2 of the useless 1999 Constitution to say that Nigeria is not indivisible sovereign nation. Nigeria can be dissolved. Just that amendment alone could secure also the dual republic. But stupid idiot Libra. They don't want to control the power of the presidency. They want the dual republic. Yet they don't want to talk to America. Stupid people. So the only way Nigeria can be dissolved based on the useless constitution we are running is to amend Article 2 of that constitution. So the 1999 Constitution of Nigeria only addresses two scenarios where a referendum is recognized. You can ask for a referendum to dissolve Nigeria. The Constitution does not recognize it. Article 2 of the Constitution says that Nigeria is one indivisible and indissoluble sovereign state to be known by the name of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. So you can't ask for referendum. If you want to ask for referendum, you have to amend Article 2 of the Nigerian Constitution. The Nigerian Constitution only gave 2 scenarios where a referendum is recognized. In case of state boundary adjustment and the recall of a member of the National Assembly. That is the only 2 scenarios where referendum is accepted in the 1999 Constitution. When you want to change state boundary adjustment and you want to recall a National Assembly member. So it does not give room for the dissolution of Nigeria. How can a few people made constitution for the entire Yoruba nation without the input of the Yoruba nation, without the input of Ijaw nation, without the input of Efik Ibibio nation, without the input of Kanuri nation, without the input of Nupe nation, without the input of Tiv nation, without the input of the indigenous people of Nigeria, and a stupid idiot, somebody that was never voted for. Abu Salam was not voted for. Babangida was not voted for. Abacha was not voted for. Major General Buhari in 1983 was not voted for. Muritala was not voted for. Gowon was not voted for. Aguiyi Ironsi was not voted for. People we did not voted for who just seized power with the guns. That means what you are telling us, the young Yoruba, is that we can actually kill everybody and seize power in Nigeria. How can we be binded by a constitution written by somebody that was not elected? A constitution written by a few people without the involvement of the indigenous people of Nigeria. Is that once that we accepted? So in such a scenario, you bring a man of Tinubu caliber who has always been saying that he does not believe in one Nigeria because of the fraudulent constitution that we've had in Nigeria. You bring him in, even if he doesn't do anything, if he can amend the Article 2 of the 1999 Constitution that will give you the right for referendum, you will see how everything will scatter. I said to some people last year that, look, you don't understand the power of the presidency. Go and read Sindai. It is in law. Professor Oshibadu is a constitutional lawyer. Tinubu can invoke that law and lock down National Assembly. Because some people were saying, he can't do anything. There are so many Hausa Fulani in the National Assembly. They will vote it down. He can shut down National Assembly. All of the nonsense that Buhari is doing to you, what do you do? Is it not to go onto the street and shout, 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 and later you go into your house and relax? So the Constitution of Nigeria does not recognize referendum for the dissolution of Nigeria. The irresponsible English establishment that is supporting minority Fulani in their own country, their constitution permitted referendum. That was why they gave the Scottish the right to vote in a referendum. That was why they participated in the EU referendum. But they will be cool with Nigeria government with a constitution that gave no provision for referendum. That's why everybody is resorting to armed insurgency. That's why every one of us is killing ourselves. If the constitution had permitted referendum, people will invoke that constitution to ask for referendum. But the constitution is not giving that chance. Article 2 has destroyed the ability to have a referendum. But in England, in United Kingdom in general, their own constitution permitted for a referendum. But they continue to support minority Fulani to suppress the Yoruba nation. There is one section in that 1999 constitution that I love to interpret. It's the basis of the destruction of the Yoruba nation. If you read section 162, subsection 1 and 2, in that section 162, it has a lot of subsections, maybe 7. But I'm only interested in subsection 1 and 2. It is the most insulting constitution on this planet Earth. Horrible constitution written by Fulani to steal your wealth, Yoruba. That's why the Fulani could go to America, lobby the US government with the crude oil that belongs to the Yoruba and our waterways, and America will come to help them. But you idiot, you can go to Pastor Adeboye Church. You can go to Oyedepo Church to pray for me now to eternity for Jesus Christ, who will never help you. When people are reaching out to other countries and forming good, strong, super special relationship, and kneeling down in church, praying to Jesus Christ to give you Oduduwa report. Some idiot are wearing Oweyo, saying that they have Ogun in this day and age. Stupid souls that you are. Folks, if you look at section 162, it's very horrible. Section 162, subsection 1 and 2. That is the constitution Abdul Salam Abubakar wrote for the interest of the Fulani. It says, the Federation shall maintain a special account to be called the Federation account, into which shall be paid all revenue collected by the federal government of Nigeria, except the proceeds from the personal income tax of the personnel of the armed forces of the Federation, the Nigerian Police Force, the Ministry of or Department of Government charged with responsibility for foreign affairs, and the resident of the Federal Capital Territory, Abuja. Useless constitution. I see some individuals circulating the internally generated revenue for 2020, saying, yeah, Yoruba region, it has the highest internally generated revenue. That is the money generated by the state. That is not the money generated by the federal government. The money generated by the federal government is solely in Yoruba land. 49% of the revenue of the federal government of Nigeria comes from Yoruba land. 44% coming from South. That is 49 plus 44. That is 93. The remaining 7% is coming from Hausa Fulani, 2.5%. Middle Belt, I think 2%. Igbo, 1.5%. And Kanuri, 1%. That is why this constitution was written. That constitution says that you take Yoruba money, 45%, 49% of our money, move it to Abuja. Move the South money, 44%, move it to Abuja. And add the 2.5% of Hausa Fulani to it. Add the 2% of the Middle Belt to it. Add the 1.5% of the Igbo to it. Add the 1% of the Kanuri to it. And you share it. Look at subsection 2. Say the president, upon the receipt of the advice from the Revenue Mobilization, Allocation and Fiscal Commission, shall table before the National Assembly proposal for revenue allocation from the Federation account, and in determining the formula, the National Assembly shall take into account the allocation principles, especially those of population, equality of states, local government, internal revenue generation, land mass, terrain, as well as population density. Only Yoruba ti dàrú. Àwọn parents wa ni o. Wọ́n ti ya wèrè, and they accepted this constitution. Constitution says that you move Yoruba money to Abuja, and you share this money back according to number of local government, according to number of states, according to population, according to land mass. Wọ́n fi land mass pín owó. Ìlú wo náà ti ń ṣe bẹ́ẹ̀ láyé yìí? Orí wọ́n ti sọ Yorùbá dọ̀dẹ̀. The above section of the 1999 Constitution of Nigeria encourages corruption. That is why Igbo will tell you one Nigeria. That is why Hausa Fulani will tell you we will not allow anybody to be president of Nigeria because of this useless constitution. It favors them. The greatest propaganda on this planet Earth is Biafra. That is the greatest propaganda. Any stupid Yoruba will believe that Igbo actually want out. Igbo people, they don't want out of Nigeria. They are the greatest beneficiary of the fraudulent 1999 constitution. The entire Igbo land is the same size of Oyo State, yet they have 5 states out of it. You move all the money to Abuja, you give their 5 states all of this money. You think Igbo wants monetary allocation to stop? Igbo are scared that Tinubu is likely going to stop the monetary allocation. Fulani are scared that Tinubu will stop the monetary allocation. You put Tinubu as the president of Nigeria, a full-blooded Yoruba citizen, somebody that is well knowledgeable. We, as YY, we read a lot of Tinubu's speeches when he was governor. Some of you don't have anymore. We benefited from his wealth of knowledge. You put such a man as president of Nigeria, you think he will accept this constitution? He will accept this nonsense? That's why they don't want him to be president. They want to stop him. By all means, the most useless constitution on the planet Earth is the 1999 Nigerian Constitution. How can we allow Hausa, Fulani, and Igbo to write the constitution that is going to be binding on the Yoruba nation? That is one thing you have to appreciate the English for. They allow you to debate and negotiate on the kind of constitution you want for 2 years. You think if Yoruba is allowed to debate the kind of constitution we want, today, if you give the Yoruba nation an option, you accept the 1999 constitution or break out of Nigeria, they will opt out of Nigeria for good. Ask the Fulani the same question. You accept the 1999 constitution or break out of Nigeria, they will say to you they accept the 1999 constitution because it is stealing the wealth of the Yoruba. That's why I said in the beginning of this session, you guys don't know how to lobby. You are the owner of the wealth of Nigeria. You should be able to negotiate with what you have to get what you want. We've been telling you we need United States of America. You will never attain your full human potential, Yoruba people, without America. Kò ń ṣe pé ẹni tó bá níbọn ló máa control ayé yìí. Ṣé wọ́n níbọn ni? Ṣebí Jésù lẹ sọ pé ẹni ẹ ṣe control ayé pẹ̀lú Jésù lẹ sọ pé ẹni. Ṣebí máa coordinate pẹ̀lú Mecca, ẹ máa forí gbálẹ̀ gbàgbàgbà, ẹ máa lẹ́ ń wo east. Gbogbo orí nọ́pù ẹ̀ adúdú. Àwọn ọmọ Saudi tó wà nílùú ìtaàrí, orí wọn ò dúdú. Kò dúdú. Ṣáwọn náà forí gbálẹ̀. Ẹ̀yin forí gbálẹ̀ nínú poverty. Gbogbo orí dúdú bí kíní. Ẹ wá ní pé Allah ló máa gbà yín lẹ̀. Àwọn ọmọ Yorùbá tó wà ní Arab kò rí bọ́n ṣe ń ṣàwọn girls. Everybody in practice self-preservation. Ẹ̀yin sọ pé religion lẹ́yìn wò. Kí ló kan anybody pẹ̀lú religion? Orí Saudi Arabia bó ṣe ń bá America ṣe, bó ṣe ń bá England ṣe. Ṣé America wá jẹ́ Muslim country? Ẹ̀yin ọ̀dẹ̀. The greatest propaganda is Biafra. Igbo don't want out of Nigeria. What do you know they do? They don't want out of Nigeria. If they want out of Nigeria, we've been challenging them. Today, they are blowing up police stations, right? And government properties. Tell them to shut down pipelines if they have. I've been telling them since for years, you don't have crude oil. If you have, blow up pipelines in Igbo land. Let us see. On a constant level. That's why they are blowing up police stations. They are poor people. They are the greatest beneficiary of the unitary system. It is Igbo that brought this system about. Fulani are only taking advantage of the system. Fulani are so scared that if the Yoruba can get to rule, not ordinary Yoruba, full-blooded Yoruba, you know Yoruba are very intelligent. You put Tinubu as the president of Nigeria. Oh, man, fuck up everything from A to Z. Oh, man, fuck up. Oh, man, saw everybody dead running. Oh, man, saw Hausa àti Igbo. Oh, man, saw what did he Oh, more information Tinubu man access. Create of his sack and don't find any information in 2019. To arrest me for terrorism. Táwọn ọlọ́pàá lọ gbé fóònù mi. Tí máa wọ́n in case yẹn ní next month, wá dé bí mo ṣe máa sú ọlọ́pàá. Wọ́n gbé gbogbo contact mi fún Buhari tó lọ sack àwọn tó ń bá Ọ̀ṣínbàjò ṣiṣẹ́. But telling you to be smart. You don't want to. You don't want to be smart. Folks, 1999 Constitution is the problem of Nigeria. It is the reason why Yoruba, you are poor, miserable, and wretched, yet you are the economic backbone of Nigeria. 1999 Constitution, there is no Igbo, whether dead or alive, who wishes for that Constitution to change. There is no Hausa Fulani, whether dead or alive, who wishes for that Constitution to change. Igbo are doing propaganda on you. They like the unity system. They brought it upon us. They are scared of Tinubu presidency. That is why they are obnobbing with the useless Yoruba Libra led by a horrible old man called Banji Akintoye and that useless stack illiterate called Sunday Igboho that are shouting Oduduwa Republic for you. Tell them, ask them rather, how do you wish to get it? They have no clue. So that is the problem of Nigeria. We are either going to break up that country or we return back to what we negotiated before independence. And we make certain amendment to that constitution of 1960. The topmost priority is the decentralization of the military. And we're very frank about that. If we decentralize the military, there will be Yoruba armed forces. We will sign military pact with the United States of America. The Hausa Fulani should have their own military called Hausa Fulani National Guard. They should go and sign military pact with their friend, the English. The Igbo should try and reach out to the French to sign military pact with them. We are not one nation. We are a country of many nations, and we must respect our diversity. So from 1999 and 1914 rather to 1999, we have had 10 constitutions. The English enacted 5 into law: Lord Lugard Constitution of 1914, Clifford Constitution of 1922, Richard Constitution of 1946, Mackenzie Constitution of 1951, and Liechtenstein Constitution of 1964. From 1960 up to 1999, we have also had another 5 constitutions. The Hausa Fulani promulgated 5 into law: the 1960 Constitution, the 1963 Constitution, the 1979 Constitution, 1993 Constitution, and 1999 Constitution. Hausa Fulani promulgated all of this into law. It is actually a Hausa Fulani Constitution. The Igbo promulgated 3 of this constitution into law: the 1960 Constitution, the 1963 Constitution, and 1979 Constitution. The Igbo did not participate in the Constitution of 1993 and 1999. But even at that, you ask them if they want the continuation of 1999 Constitution, they will say yes, because their entire landmass is Oyo State, yet it is 5 states. They are collecting monthly allocation from the federal government. We want to stop that monthly allocation. Any money that is coming from each of the regions belong to the regions. It does not belong to the federal government. This was introduced by the Igbo in 1966 when they suspended regional government. They made the federal government powerful. They don't want the federal government to be weak. Out of the 5 constitutions that we have had from 1960 to 1999, only 1 was promulgated into law by the Yoruba people, and that is 1960 Constitution. The Yoruba nation did not participate or approve of the 1963 Constitution, 1979 Constitution, 1993 Constitution, and 1999 Constitution. Hausa Fulani and Igbo do not wish for a full-blooded Yoruba citizen to be the president of Nigeria, because they know that such an individual will ensure a new constitution for Nigeria that enshrine the right to self-determination on and up to the right to succeed, presented to the people via a referendum. If Tinubu becomes president today, there is every possibility that he will present to the public a new constitution that will make provision for referendum in future, that will make provision for self-determination and the right to succeed. They don't want this man because he will protect the interests of the Yoruba nation. Regardless of what the Yoruba liberals are telling you, those who are agitating for Oduduwa Republic, very deceitful set of people, as Yoruba conservative, we must reach out to the good people of America. As a movement, we don't like the Democratic Party because they've always been killing Yoruba leaders. Democratic Party was in power in 1962, 63, 64, when Awolowo was arrested. He was jailed. 21 other Yoruba were jailed. In 1993 to 1998, when Abiola won the presidential election, the election was annulled. His wife was assassinated. Abiola too was assassinated. The Democratic Party was in power. So we're so worried that Joe Biden, a Democrat, is also the president of America at the time, at a critical time, that Tinubu has the prospect of becoming the president of Nigeria. How Tinubu is going to pull this off, we do not know. But if he does, he will go down as the greatest Yoruba after Awolowo. I'll see you tomorrow. Thank you very much, guys.